For everyone else, the jury is out. That includes Killer Kross, who is still stuck in limbo with Impact not booking him on any of their shows and having him pulled from tonight's AAA show here in New York, which was moved. It was originally going to be in Madison Square Garden. They sold like very few tickets, and so they kicked it over to the adjacent Hulu theater. I think it fits about 5,000. I don't know where they are at right now. I don't think it's sold out, but hopefully they can at least pack in 3,000 or 4,000 in that building for the show tonight. Kross gave an interview to Brian Fritz of the Sporting News and was very limited. He was very careful in what he could say just legally about the situation with Impact. But he did confirm that he was given a date, as far as the AAA show is concerned, because he has worked for AAA in Mexico, and I believe he still can. He still has the ability to, book his own independent shots, and he's still working with AAA down in Mexico. But he had been given a date for this show here in New York. He was going to be on the show, possibly working again with Cain Velasquez, the way he did in that tag match when Cain made his debut at Triple Mania. And then he found out through Ed Nordholm that he was removed from the show. And the reason that this happened is because AAA realized they needed a promoter's license to run this show. Impact stepped up and said, well, you can use our license. So they're using Impact's license in order to run their show tonight, which is why that Impact has even had any say at all in any kind of AAA booking decisions. And I guess they said, we don't want Killer Kross on this show. Now, Kross, again, can still book his own, indie shots, but he called the decision pretty unbelievable, and he said that it's changed his life and his career. He said it is a really gross circumstance that occurred, and I think it was pretty ill-mannered. You can tell he's being very restrained in what he said. He's being very diplomatic in the way that he is talking about this situation. That's the kind version of how he really feels about what's going on. And he says the issue started with Impact last year over merchandising. It sounds to me, and again, he couldn't get into the specifics, because this could very well turn into a legal issue, although he says he doesn't want it to get to that point. I'm sure he doesn't, because that gets very expensive. But it sounds to me like there's something he felt he was owed. I would imagine probably money, right? Royalties. And he hasn't gotten them. Or Impact is supposed to produce reports, and maybe it's the reports. I don't know, but there's something he felt he was owed that he still has not received from the company. And we're only getting one side of the story so far. Impact has chosen to not comment publicly about any of this. But each week that goes by that either Kross says something or news leaks out from somewhere reputable about what the hell's going on here, Impact comes across looking worse and worse and worse in this situation. And I said it when I talked about this, what was it, last week or the week before? I'll say it again. Either book the man, because yes, he signed a contract. He is under contract to Impact until the end of the year. They supposedly then have the option at the end of this year to roll his contract over for an additional year. So if they really wanted to keep him, or they just really wanted to fuck with this guy, they could roll the contract over and basically hold him hostage for another year if they want to. They have that option. But I say either book the man or release him. Don't take opportunities away from him, out of pettiness and spite. It's like those cop shows where they arrest a suspect and the suspect goes, charge me or release me. How many times have you seen that on Law & Order? Charge me or release me. That is the choice that Impact has to make. Book the man or release him. Now, Kross performed last night at Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 2 show. He beat Nick Gage. And after the match, he got on the microphone and he challenged Ed Nordholm to a fight. No, I'm kidding. He challenged Dave Batista to come out of retirement and fight him one-on-one on one of these Bloodsport shows. I've only seen highlights of the Bloodsport shows. Everybody who I know who has actually gone to the show says it's a lot of fun. I take it that it's, there's no ropes. And it's basically like it's like a fake version of MMA. I mean, there's wrestling, obviously, and it's not actual MMA, but it's kind of done in that vein. And people love these shows. Apparently, they've had, I guess, 2 of them so far, and it's been very well received. So he challenged Batista to come out of retirement and do a match or a fight, whatever you want to call it, with him on one of these shows. Highly unlikely. Batista has been adamant that after the match with Triple H at WrestleMania this year that he for years he talked about wanting this match and how that's going to be his last match. That's his kind of fairy tale ending in wrestling, and he got that match this year. He said, "Give me what I want," and they gave him what he wanted. And he put Triple H over on the way out, and that's it. And now he's got his career in Hollywood. He never has to wrestle again another day in his life if he doesn't want to. I would think that he probably wouldn't be too thrilled. He hasn't said anything. He hasn't tweeted anything yet. But, when he finds out about this, that this even happened, that somebody called him out like this, I would imagine he probably won't be very thrilled. Kross even said, "I don't know this guy from a hole in the wall." So it's not like they're best friends or anything like that. I don't think that Batista may not even know who the guy is. But when he issued this challenge last night, the people in the building, they were chanting Batista's name, probably thinking that there's a chance this match might happen, or else why would he say such a thing? So now if Batista basically ignores him, or he comes out and says no thank you, he kind of comes across in a way, looking bad or letting people down, like he's letting people down. Batista is very sensitive about certain things if you follow him on social media. Alex Del Barrio, he was an announcer on NXT many years ago. He had a brief run there. It wasn't very long. But he was an announcer for NXT. And he made a crack, it was this past week, I think. He made a crack a few days ago about Bautista. Remember the whole Bautista thing when he dressed in blue and it was Evolution against the Shield and everybody made a big deal about him wearing blue because that's the culture we live in now. Everything becomes a meme. It's not a big deal. It's just, out of fun. But he's very sensitive about that. He's talked about this before. You could tell he is not a fan of the whole Bautista thing. He never found it funny. He was never really fully in on the joke. But, Alex the other day, it was, an innocent little joke that he tweeted out in response to a tweet that Dave put out, whatever it was. And Dave put him on blast. He quote tweeted him and he responded. And he was all like, 6 guys put their health on the line in that match and we used our success to make 3 newer guys into bigger stars than they were when they came into the match. And, the smart marks focus on me wearing blue. Yeah, it's hysterical. And it's like, whoa, come on, dude, take it easy. It was a joke. It's not worth getting all bent out of shape about it. So I don't know that he's going to be too thrilled about this either.